Hello all, Jeremy Paetzel here with BeardedGuitarTutorials.com. Trying to shift the camera a little bit lower, that way you'll be able to really see what's going on my right hand today. This video lesson is actually for beginners to more intermediate students, those who have actually started working on the arpeggio patterns that I posted online in my website. These arpeggio patterns come from two different factors. One is this book here. It's the Guitar Bridges Technique book. I highly recommend it. Again, it's the Guitar Bridges Technique book. Inside this book, there are lots of scales, different ways to play them, different alternate fingerings to play those scales. And in classical guitar, you see, the way it differs with arpeggios is that they can be played using alternate fingerings with the right hand. And let me further explain. So say I don't know, we're just going to imagine, if you will, I'm playing you don't even have to imagine. I'll put my left hand in D major. Okay, so say I want to play this open A right here, and then I want to play I and then M. So, right, pretty solid, right? I went A, then I went to D, then back down to A, and then back up to the A an octave below. So, what is another way we could play it? Well, we could do that same way, only this time, instead of going I, M, we'll go M, I. So, just as you see with the arpeggios I have posted. And the reason we do this is you'll find ways in which arpeggios are to be plucked in all these different positions and all these different ways in using the right hand throughout classical repertoire. They're very effective, very useful. They're good exercises, and I also always recommend arpeggios as a good warm-up. I think they're the best warm-up. They get both hands moving because you have this hand, shifting between chords, kind of getting the feel for that, and then you have this hand just overall just getting the feel for plucking. And so, again, what you want to do, it's like this. Well, my apologies. Should have hit the A. Remember, and that's also on a teacher's fault. They have to realize when they're doing wrong. And that's why I actually kind of like doing these tutorial videos. It helps me kind of do some self-reflection on myself. And it helps you guys, because then I can show you how to properly and what not to do. What to properly do and what not to do. And again, it always helps. Notice how my thumb is already there on the open A planted. And so is I and M. So all I do is, and look, it's already planted again on the next string on the open D. And then back up to the A. Okay, and then we switch to G major, which up here. Now I know online I have posted having 2 on the G, 1 on the B, and then 3 on the octave. You know what? You can do it on the 4 if you really want to, if you feel comfortable. I actually kind of do feel comfortable on the 4. Some people feel comfortable with the 3. It's kind of a personal preference. When it comes to certain fingerings, it's always about the guitarist. It isn't necessarily a set rule that says, oh, you must have this fingering. Never let anyone tell you that. Now, in some cases, there are, where you're going to want to go with a better fingering. You're going to want to go with that alternate fingering that someone provides because it just makes it easier for you. And that's what you want. You just want the fingerings that are easier for you. And that's also, again, a personal preference. But notice, I'm up to the G major right now. I'll use my pinky, actually, the 4th finger. And this time, look, I have my thumb planted on this G here already. And I'm going to use that same pattern, though. I'm going to go P, I, M. And then you can alternate. Instead of I, M, this time I'm going to go M, I. So, and you see you can keep on going like that, and eventually you'll, example, I believe I posted the one that's PIA. And so I'll show you an example of it with D major. So starting on open A right here. So, and then my I finger will be placed on the third string, which should be the A note at the time. And then this will be the F sharp, my I. This is the first time we're using the I. And remember, you don't want this pinky here. You want it together. It should be plucking together like one finger. Notice how, see, it looks almost like it is one finger. It looks like just one giant finger together. But you don't want to pluck with the pinky finger at all. So, again, we're going to place that here on the A, the thumb. The I should be planted down on the third string up on the A note. And then our our A should be plucking the F sharp down here on the first string. So, it should go like this. Again. And then going down, yeah, so. And then switching to G major. I bring it back up to this G here. Back to D. Back to G. And then again, if you really want to, just go to D, back to D major and pluck them all together. So all together it should sound like And again, you can set these to a metronome. I'd actually prefer if you guys set it to a metronome. Start out with something slow, like 60 BPM. That's always a good speed to start out with a lot of these arpeggios. And then work your way up. Actually make a game out of it. If you can get like from G to D, those exercises I provided on my website 5 times in a row, then kick it up to like, oh, I don't know, 65 BPM, or even, even maybe a little faster, maybe 70 if you're really that confident about it. The object here is really just to make sure you focus on a few things. You want to make sure that you have good tone when you're doing these. You want to make sure that your time is fluent. You're not like kind of sitting there going like this. Like you don't want to, it sounds like da da da. You want to straight da 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 da. It's very, just straight rhythmic, and you don't want to strictly straight rhythmic, and you don't want to like really aim to be expressive, because this is more for technique. You don't really want to slow it down in certain parts or anything. Eventually, once you get more developed, you can. But for now, again, we're just building a proper foundation in your right hand, and it's allowing you to get used to alternate picking throughout different strings and with the arpeggios. And in turn, you'll find occurrences in certain passages inside your repertoire that may present that same problem, and then where you've been sitting here just arpeggioing away, you're sure to be a master at it. This is Jeremy Paetzel with Bearded Guitar Tutorials, and I hope you learned.